Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast with Thomas Helfrich. Get ready for a thrilling adventure as we uncover entrepreneurial journeys and life-changing business insights every week. And now your host, Thomas.
Welcome to another episode of Never Been Promoted, where we unleash your entrepreneur. That's right. We learn from other founders, entrepreneurs, smarter people than me, which is the bar's pretty low there for myself, but that's kind of self-deprecating. I'm pretty smart, actually, but you actually are smarter. I'm joined today by Hunter. I'm going to say it Hodnett. It's Hodnett. Hunter, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Thomas?
I'm very good. Thank you. I know you're very busy being all technical and stuff at chip.ai. But I know I made you fill out all this stuff, and I know you guys are a payment platform for AI apps. But could you just do the pitch? Because I was trying to read it, and I don't know how to read. So I really wanted you to do it. No, tell us about chip.ai and what you guys are solving for the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody's probably familiar with the advent of generative AI. There's ChatGPT, there's Midjourney, all these cool apps coming out that use AI. Those typically do credit-based transactions. For example, they generate something for you, and then you typically should be charged for whatever got generated. We noticed they were actually mostly using monthly subscriptions. So we fixed that and created a credit-based payment platform.
All right. Did you say degenerative AI apps? Just kidding. So tell me a little bit tell me a little bit about you before we get into kind of the weeds of chip.ai, because I think understanding your background, your journey, the listener is someone who cares about entrepreneurship. They care about starting a business, and they could be, a services to technology. Frame up your background, how you got to become the CTO, and just, a little few minutes on your entrepreneurial journey to where you are. And then we'll get into the weeds of what chip.ai does a little bit.
Yeah, I'll sum it up real quick for you. I started coding at 14. There was a class offered at my high school. So I started really early. It started as a hobby, and then I got into the real world and needed to make money, realized I needed to make a living. Software engineering was a great career. And so the first part of my life/career was really focused on how do I just be a great software engineer? And I wanted to be a full stack engineer and know how to do everything. Once I got to that stage, I really felt like a good full stack engineer when I started my career at Home Depot and was an IT developer there, went to Amazon Music, learned a lot there, went to Reddit to build the redesigned Reddit website, learned a lot there. And it was at that point I felt like a good full stack engineer. I then got into coding education, where I learned even more. The best way to learn something fully is to teach it. And then where my entrepreneurial career started was when I started freelancing for startups. I'm like, let me get in the weeds with people who have raised money and need a product built and figure out how the business stuff works.
Wow. You've had a great career technically. And I have kids, and my son is like, where he starts in 2 weeks to start doing Roblox gaming, coding. And it's like 11, and they're showing him stuff like, the trial of like what they're doing in Python and this and that. I was like, you do realize I went to college to learn that, and you're jumping in at 11. And it's not like it's any easier now because you use Python scripting and you still have libraries, but there's all things there. But I'm like, he loves gaming, like a lot of kids do. I was like, you can be the kid who games, or you can be the kid who builds games and makes some money off it. So consumer versus creator, right? Consumer, producer. And so I'm excited for him because even if he does, he bans it, whatever else, he's getting such a fundamental technical, beginning. It's gonna be awesome for him.
It makes you wonder, what is he going to build, right? Like having that knowledge so early.
I know it's biased. He's super creative. To his own fault. Where I'm like, can you just stay focused on something for a couple of weeks? But as you get the Hallmark developer. Pick a new job every 6 months right behind you. I guess. Anyway, that being said, okay, so you get the chip.ai. So tell me about your beginnings with this company, and how old's the company? Give me a little overview on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I started consulting with the company in about August. So I did not actually start on the ground level. It was a few of my friends that I had met while I was working at a company called Proof of Learn on a project called Metacrafters. We were building an education platform for Web3 technologies. One of my former coworkers had left the company and was working on AI projects. I had recommended a former engineer that worked with me on my first startup, Cottage, who was looking for work, and I recommended him for the AI project he was doing. and he built a chatbot for nonprofit data. So you could essentially ask any question about any nonprofit in the United States. I did consulting, part-time consulting on that project. And he asked me, he was like, hey, if you were to do any startup right now, what would you do? And I was like, there really needs to be a payments platform for this, because we had to monetize the app. We had to monetize the chatbot. And I was like, dude, rather than just building monetization for this, this nonprofit chatbot, this chatbot for nonprofit data is cool, but like, why don't we just take our monetization and like build it into a platform?
Right.
And we got a lot of traction with that. And that's when I came on as CTO.
Nice. That's great. It's nice. It's like public radio, but just talk soft voices.
I know ASMR, the sweets.
Oh, chip day. When I'm speaking, there's none. Yeah. Well, in that journey, how'd you guys find so I always look at like why people start businesses, why they don't. Yours is, it's not a solopreneur entity. It's a technical beginnings, which you had foundation and skill. And for anybody listening, if you're trying to become a technical founder and you're not technical now, you're not going to be a technical founder. Even if low code, no code, don't kid yourself. You can build apps. They're cool. Maybe you can sell the apps, but you're going to be limited because that's not your passion. So definitely understand who you are before you start a company or go an entrepreneur thing, or get trained up and go live the life and jump in. So you were lived in the technical, which allows you to come in. How did you guys find your first customer? Because that's often the biggest challenge of a lot of people coming in is like, I don't know how to get my first customer. And so how did you guys find the first paying customer, not the freebies?
Right. We started with, we needed to monetize our own apps that we were building, right? So Benchmark 990 is the name of the nonprofit chatbot. So that was the first freebie customer. Then we did another, there's an application, it's like an AI copilot for learning called Arc. Again, that was kind of like a freebie, where it was really when we really turned on the marketing of like, hey, we're going to host a live workshop and just show people we need it. Chip is a payment platform for generative AI apps. So to really get started, we needed to kind of poke at like, hey, here's how you build a generative AI app. And we launched this thing that we called the Playground. And it was essentially like, hey, here's how to make a system prompt. And then like, we just built this quick thing that lets you deploy any custom system prompt into a chatbot. And that got us attention. And from that attention, we essentially funneled people from that workshop into our Discord channel. And then we were able to help people onboard onto we did white glove onboarding where we're like, here's how you integrate with our API. And that got us our first customers.
For all you over 40, just go ahead and hang up now. You heard the words Discord and a bunch of other things. I have no idea what they are.
Bunch of nerd words.
And right now, I'm telling you, you can just go. It's fine. I get it. Okay, stay. So well, along that journey, all right. So you get the customer, you're moving. You guys fast forward. You're about to do a round, I think. Are you closing a round coming this year, or is starting a round?
I don't want to talk too much about it on a public medium, but yes, we are looking to close another true seed round very soon.
Yeah, don't disclose anything. But the point is, you're raising money. You're in that stage now that you're a seed. I guess it would be some sort of pre-seed to come around. Looking beyond just angel and friends and family, you're looking at maybe more venture or private, institutional funding, which is fantastic. Congratulations for you on that. Go back. So let's give some advice to technical founders, right? Or technical people with technical backgrounds who want to have that idea. What are three things you wish you would have known now that you're a few years into it?
I think humility is the number one. So it's this weird, very difficult combination of having humility, but also persistence, right? I think early in my career, I wanted to kind of overcompensate for what I didn't know. And it kind of made me a little aggressive and like egotistical. And that really closed a lot of doors for me. And then when I kind of like started engaging the entrepreneurial process with more humility and being like, listen, I don't know this thing. I'm going to tell people that I don't know this thing, but I'm going to be relentless in my pursuit of learning about this thing. And it's kind of what a lot of people sum up as like grit. You're like, you have to have a lot of grit as an entrepreneur. I think it's this persistence and willingness to be like, look a bit silly and like get it wrong, but then
be vulnerable.
Going, be vulnerable.
Yeah. And
then be like, hey, listen, I messed that up, but I'm going to keep going, Yeah.
And I think you hit three things there, right? So you describe humility, which is, and honestly, I think a lot of people don't realize this. It's not thinking less of yourself. It's just thinking more of others first.
Yeah.
And I think the humility piece of being vulnerable, that I don't know everything. I mean, I knew so much more in my 20s than I do now. I don't know about you. I knew I don't know where all that knowledge went. Holy crap, I would get dumber and dumber every year. And the last, the resilience. You're talking about, like that is, the humility is a part of it. I think it's how you survive resilience, and how you survive is through resilience and having humility. But you get ahead a key thing, always be learning. And so in the book, the Never Been Promoted book, it's those, I have chapters on each one of those things in detail, because they are so core to what you should know, that if you can go in with humility, and you already have resilience and you have some vulnerability, and vulnerability is a good thing to have, and you have the right environments, you're going to be massively successful. Because who do you want to work with? The egotistical, asshole, or the person who thinks of others, asks good questions, tries to learn, tries to understand?
Yeah, people want to open doors for you.
Right. Just don't want to shove them in your face. Let's just
right. Yeah.
That's book 2, Asked to Leave. So I love that. And maybe, the follow-up question that I try to get to is, what are 3 things you shouldn't have done? And I'm looking for humor here. You're giving me content.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I know you want humor, but it's really not funny.
So listen, so it can be very dark humor if this is how I I'm fine with that too.
I shouldn't have been a CEO. I tried to be a CEO of my first company, and it was like, I did it via my personal funds. I self-funded my first company, and I just was not a CEO. I'm a technical co-founder, and I had the right co-founder. I had the right co-founder who should have been CEO, but I just I didn't have the humility to step aside. It was a huge mistake, because that company, Cottage, could have been wildly successful. But that was a big mistake. Not meeting my wife earlier, I don't know.
You can't do that one. Listen, we all benefit from those who we said yes to.
Heather, as you're listening to this, know that I said that. Happy anniversary.
Heather, by the way, this is a sexy voice guy. I want to just Hunter talks so nicely about you, and he wrote you a song he's going to play for you later.
Yeah, our anniversary is on Sunday, so I had to throw that in.
It's not going to go out the next year probably on this, but that's okay. Right. You can play it for every year.
I'll let her know I said it.
So the second thing I heard was, meet better people in your life. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
We're on that. Wait, that's not what you should do. It's what you should not do. You should not meet bad people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, the thing I did initially is I kind of wanted to be the king of my own castle, right? And I didn't want anyone who had skills that could threaten mine, right? Versus surrounding myself with people who were better than me.
Well, now you're ready for being a CEO.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to be hiring for a VP of engineering, and I'm looking at I'm trying to reach out to former bosses and be listen, your career's way further than mine, but could we work together? Stuff like that.
Yeah, it will. Listen, I agreed. And things you shouldn't do, right, is you're tying back to it. Did you have anything else hey, don't cuss out your boss or anything?
Don't have an emotional outburst. It's not. If you think it would feel really good to say something, don't say that thing.
Tweet it.
Just tweet it and put it out there forever on the internet. So I did that a few times, and I'm like, dang, that was not I destroyed that relationship because I said that thing. It's just never worth it.
I think Dave Chappelle covered that, when keeping it real went wrong.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah.
Man, the Wu-Tang. Anyway, so I love that. If those who aren't following that reference, once again, if you're over 40, it's okay just to hang up at this point. If you have seen it, Google it. It's really good. Let's go back to that, not being the CEO. So it's funny because I'm a CEO and I know I'm better at sales. I'm better at interactions and talking. I wish I had the skill set to be a technical founder. And I think one thing people should really realize, some of those people who lead and they become unicorns, there's a lot of attention put on the founder and other people, and they may have been technical in the beginning, but they share a very rare skill of being highly technical and a CEO type or an outward marketing type, but they don't do it all. And they all struggle with that. What's my role in my own company? Here's the end of the day. If you own most of the shares, don't care how it gets done. So if you're the one that's going to be really kind of in control, but you need to let go to let people do it. If you're and you're saying you should have just been the technical hands down promoter, product maker. The other person's you're in charge of sales, get out there and go do it, make the decisions, take care of all the back office stuff. That's a hard decision to make and control wise to give up as a youth, because you want the title of CEO. But the truth is what you're chasing is an exit and money. And so cost you money. It's what
there's a big, I did. Yeah, for sure. And then I had to get married and be like, by the way, I just spent all my money trying to start a company.
Here's the thing. $400,000 of law school loan debt. I didn't finish my degree. And my wife's like, what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
We're going to do a different episode on
It's one of those moments where like, till death do us part, you really love me? Like, you know.
You did sign that agreement and give me a kiss on the altar, right? Okay, here's the deal. I need your income to pay this off.
Right. But to your point though, I mean, it was one of those things where I realized that like my company was also separate from me. Right. And that viewing like kind of what I'm doing with the company is kind of like, hey, this is like a gift to, it sounds kind of odd, but like a gift to, not a gift to society because you charge money for it, but this is something that should exist. And it is not kind of like some kind of extension of myself or kind of like some kind of testament to my ego or legacy. It is something that society wants. It should exist, and making sure that I keep it separate kind of from whatever I've got going on, you know.
Agreed. And, you know, one of the things I do discuss at times is, especially with men, is your identity is so tied up in what you do, right? Work. And man, that's like, if you've already gone through it, you know, I've gone through several asked to leave moments in my career, and it gets easier every time. But there was one where I was making, you know, north of $500,000 easy a year and made quarterly bonuses every quarter. And like 2 weeks after my 6-1, they were like, hey, we don't see the value anymore. We're going to move on. You're like, excuse me? 2 weeks ago, you just handed me a nice check and said nothing. And so it's kind of like, and so I've been through those just gut wrenching. But what you find with humility of those events, and you also look back, go, it's not really, it was good money, but it's not really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's a weird, when you hit like your career, like, you know, I was chief innovation officer of a $1 billion services company, right? I was like, man, that's what I don't want to be a CEO. I just wanted to be like this disruptor innovator. And I get in and I'm like, no one here really wants me to be that. Like, I like, it sounds great on paper but I got to tell you, it was like that. Anyway, so the point that you made that you shouldn't have been CEO, you'd look back and you're like, I should have stayed in my swim lane of what I did really, really well. And I would have been hyper successful the way I thought I would have been. And that's something you're like, I shouldn't have done that. And I wish I would have known that.
Yeah.
And it'd be hard to do it now because you got to look at, so the next question is like, you're looking forward. What are you doing right now that you're going to look back and go, damn it, shouldn't have done that?
I think just being just like team culture. I think it's so tempting when you're doing something as hard as a startup to treat it like a family. But what a startup is a sports team. And you have to hold everyone you're working with to a very high standard of execution. And I think I have a big heart and I have a lot of empathy, and I want to be like, let's all just be a big family and pay everyone everything. But like, you really, really, because we're in the process of building the team up. And so we're having to, you know, figure out who we want to hire, what kind of people we want to hire. And there's part of me that wants to look at like every best friend I've ever had and be like, oh yeah, like regardless of your technical ability, like come on in. And I think where I am growing right now, my growth edge is like, I need the absolute best person in this role.
Listen, you during these things, this is where I get my content for my posts. So thank you very much. I'll give you credit for it. Startup is like a sports team. I see a great image. It is. You own that sports team, and you got to allow your players to play and coach when you need a coach. And when, you know, you got one that's okay, but you got another player that can do much better and it's starting to lose value, you're going to have to make sometimes hard decisions. Doesn't mean you just don't stay friends, doesn't mean you're there. And I get that. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people should take away is that, you know, companies don't care about you. They don't, because it's not a thing. It's a person. Some people might care about you, but they really care about keeping their own job. So when you become a founder, you got to understand that you don't have to have that attitude that I don't care about you, but I do have to make sure you're held accountable because you can afford no mistakes early like that. You can't hire bad early. You can afford it later. It's not good, but you can afford it. Early stages, you got to get the right players, right moments, or you have no chance.
Your first 10 are the most critical.
Yeah, you know? Agreed. And we're a smaller company, and as an agency, right, is instantly relevant. But even like, you know, I see as we've gotten past 10, we're out 20 some people. 4-day work week. You're here for value, not time. Like the things but if you fail, if you can't follow a simple process and you can't execute, you get very few chances to redeem yourself before you're gone. So because we don't have time to mess with.
I think of it like a soccer team because the big mistake when people hear like a competitive sports team culture is they start acting like marathon runners and they start trying to beat the person next to them. Whereas it needs to be, I'm biased to this because I played soccer in high school, but you need to be like supporting each other, but like in competition with whoever is external to the company, not each other, but it's still like a sports team, you know? Yeah.
And also there's a guy on the bench ready to take your job, just so you know.
Right. Yeah.
And don't break your ankle. Okay.
Yeah.
The red card analogy could work there too. Let's go. Are you looking? Do you have any mentoring? Do you seek mentors, coaching as part of your strategy moving forward?
I do. Most of it is in my personal life rather than career wise. I think as we grow as a company, I will probably be seeking executive coaching, especially as the team gets bigger. Obviously, my purview is the engineering team. So I think as I need to grow quicker and quicker, and I can't just like read a book to know what I need to know, I probably will be pursuing some executive coaching.
Yeah. And I recommend it for anybody but it's also not what you're doing. It's also what you need to become. So I think having your foresight that's saying, hey, I need to become not just the engineer lead, I have to become a marketer on technical stages. I need to be able to do TED Talks. I got to, whatever it is. So it's finding the right coaching for what you're going to become beyond just what you're solving today. So I think there's definitely that. Let's go to, listen, before we go hot seat, I feel like I should sing a Nelly song. Hot seat. No, it's not. It's the wrong one. I grew up in St. Louis, so I feel like quoting Nelly just,
Yeah.
This episode is not sponsored by Chip.ai. So go ahead and tell us what Chip.ai would say if they had sponsored the show.
Wow. If I knew I was going to get blasted like this, I probably would have sponsored the episode.
I mean, you have a free spot right here. It's a Chip.ai, CHIPP.ai. Don't forget the extra P. It's important to P.ai. Chip, 2 B's. .ai. All right, let's hear the sponsorship plug. Don't leave. This will be funny, I promise. It better be funny. But
oh, sponsorship plug. Chip.ai, the easiest pay-per-use payments for generative AI apps you've ever seen. Go to Chip, C-I-H, I can't even spell it correctly, CHIPP.ai. Join us in Discord, and we'll see you there.
Join him in Discord if you can figure out Discord. I like how if you're listening to this, you know this. He picked up the mic and got it really close. So he was trying to do like the sexy voice guy, like, yes, if you want to go Chip.ai in my Discord channel.
That's right. Turn on my radio voice.
Did you hear that 30-second ad without being an ad? Great. All right, hot seat. I'm using the data in the following segment, not only to educate our entrepreneurs of technologies they should be using, so I can find sponsorships for the show eventually. Here we go. Favorite calendar scheduling technology.
Oh, Calendly. Easy.
As Atlanta Tech Village company, we're a part of Atlanta Tech Village. They came out of there. They graduated out of there. That's also
no way.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're a fantastic. I also know Atlanta Tech Village. I spent a lot of time. I used to live in Atlanta. That's so cool to know that they came out of there. Wow.
Yeah.
Great product.
That was a plug for ATV, who needs to sponsor in the future. And so there's a lot of choices in Atlanta for your technology. Atlanta Tech Village is where I would go. They did not sponsor the show either. Favorite CRM.
Favorite CRM is probably Notion.
Notion?
Notion. I know you would expect me to say like HubSpot, but Notion, it's so easy to just like take the CRM template and then it's where we store our documents anyways.
Nice. Okay. Very good. What's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? Wow, that is a really good one. Gosh, there's so many. My favorite, Levers by Amos. And he's the managing director of Techstars Austin. I actually got to see essentially the way they run the at least at the time I was sitting in on it, they run the cohort basically based on what he put in the book. And he starts it with like, hey, there's a group of people who just like wake up every morning and get to decide what they want to work on in their business, and their business produces money. And he's like, you can have this type of life and I'll give you like the mathematical formula to create it. So it's like, yeah, it's like very like, hey, like you can turn your business into a math equation.
Yeah, and it is. We can get back into a whole show on that. Probably should.
Yeah.
What's your favorite quote?
Favorite quote? This is, it's probably religious. It's probably what Jesus, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. I think I kind of chant that to myself like during the day.
Do you whip yourself? Say it.
I'm not like just self-flagellating, like, monks. But like when there's difficult conversations to be had, which, you can have quite a bit as a startup. It's like, my burden is easy. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. Yeah. Like get me through this,
It's interesting. So of the 50 chapters I have, I started a faith journey probably 2 years ago. I quote Andy Stanley, which is a big church here in the Southeast from North Point. And he's the last chapter of Have Some Faith. And so in a perfect world, I'll get him to do my forward on the book. But I get it a little bit. Mine actually for a startup would be in the beginning.
Star Wars quote.
Or do or do not, Yoda. But that was I like it. Religious is good. So so on LinkedIn, who's your kind of a favorite up and coming person you're following?
Favorite up and coming person I'm following is actually my ex co-founder from Cottage. He's the guy who should have been CEO of Cottage. His name is Neil Granberry. He's posting a lot of really good content. He has a new venture called Venturous, where he connects venture capital with startup founders that are outside of like the main coastal cities. There's a lot of really good founders and cities that don't get a lot of attention. And he's doing a really great job creating like a deal flow mechanism between venture capital and startup founders. But he posts a lot of really good LinkedIn content.
Awesome. Give him so Neil Granberry?
Granberry, no D.
No D. Granberry.
Yep.
There you go. Give him a follow if you're listening. And if you don't invite him on as a guest, I'd love to meet him. Sounds like he'd be a good person. Let's do the next one. Who is a founding? Where do you guys like the bank? What's your favorite bank for startups?
Oh, Mercury. It's not necessarily the backing bank, but it is like a financial service, which I didn't learn until later. But it's definitely the best if you're like, hey, I'm starting a startup and I need like a bank solution. Mercury, easy.
Nice. All right, final one. This is to help the entrepreneur. The 3 most important entrepreneurial traits they're going to need.
Resilience, number 1. Humility and radical self-belief.
Jump all the way over the stream. Don't land in the middle of it. I got it.
You have to like believe you can do it.
Yeah. Even when everyone else is telling you no.
To an almost level of like irrationality. You have to really believe you're the person to make it happen. Yeah.
That's great advice. Listen, thank you, by the way, so much for joining today. I want to give you your kind of a call to action, special giveaway, or just how to get a hold of you. Take the floor, take a couple minutes, and thanks again, Hunter, so much. But tell everybody how they can get a hold of you or what they should do next.
Yeah, go to chip.ai. That's CHIPP.ai. And you can, there's a call to action on the website that'll allow you to join our Discord community. And we actually gather all of our product features or just people who are building things that we help out. Typically, we just help people build things, even if they don't use our product. So we'd love for you to go to our website, join our Discord server. If anything, just to talk to us. Obviously, we're operating a business and we're very interested in you using our platform, but really we're trying to kickstart what we call the builder economy. We think it's easier than ever for people to start building things, even if they are not someone like myself, who is a technical founder. We're actually doing a lot of no-code enablement. So we're launching a lot of Bubble plugins, a lot of Softer plugins, Zapier plugins. We think the entrepreneurial spirit should be enabled, even if someone does not have technical skills. So if you were that type of person, we would love to chat with you, talk with you, and help you out no matter where you're at in your journey.
Once again, chip.ai did not sponsor this show.
That is right, but now I'm regretting it.
Hey, there'll be an opportunity. Don't worry, there's an email coming.
We'll sponsor a random one in the future. We'll make sure we get our...
you're going to have to do a whole series at this point. Thank you so much for joining. And everyone listening, Hunter, you have a wonderful time, and I'm sure I'm going to catch up with you and with the round closing and everything else. But thank you so much for taking the time, because I know you're busy, to come on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Everyone watching or listening to a Never Been Promoted podcast, again, thank you so much. Look up for the next episode and learn from other entrepreneurs of things you should do, things you shouldn't do, and learn from their journey so you can be better at what your passion lies.
Oh, Thomas, wait 1 second, Thomas. You forgot to ask me a critical question.
Oh, please.
Have I been promoted?
I don't ask that question because it's irrelevant. Have you been promoted?
It was...
I actually asked the question to anybody.
Really? I saw it on the...
I walk over because I assume everyone in the world has been promoted but me.
Yeah, no, I've only been promoted once. It was actually very early in my career.
I need to add that. I don't think I asked that question. Those of you still listening, he has been promoted once.
Sorry, I just threw a wrench in your exit there.
I feel like the podcast continues. I will tell you.
Continues. You think we're done?
I was thinking, given that it's never been promoted, I probably should ask that question. From now on, folks, because of Hunter Hodnett, we're going to ask that question. It makes sense. But I will tell you, I think it's irrelevant.
Yes, very true.
Anyway, thank you so much, Hunter. We'll definitely catch up in the future. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Never Been Promoted with Thomas Helfrich. Make sure to check the show notes for our guest contact information and any relevant links. Connect with Thomas personally at neverbeenpromoted.com.